Now, in Germany, talented engineers can work for Porsche or BMW. In Italy, there's Fiat. And in America, there's GM and Ford and Chrysler. But here, with no car industry left, talented engineers have only one option: motor racing. Unsurprisingly, it's a sport we totally dominate.
I think our most talented people are working on racing cars. A designer can have something on the drawing board and made within a week. I've heard it said from engineers who come to work at Williams that they could have worked for British Aerospace, they could have been working on a bit that goes in an aeroplane that they wouldn't see for 10 years. And then there's no job satisfaction in that for them. So motor racing gives a lot of job satisfaction to creative people.
We're an island race. The motor car is part of our life, has been for quite a few decades, and I think it's because the industry has grown so much in the UK in the last 30 or 40 years. Any young person who wants to race, whether it's go-karts or touring cars or the lower category of formula cars, he finds it quite easy.
Nothing on the planet is quite so Italian as a blood-red Ferrari racing car. Well, in fact, the current F1 cars were actually designed in Guildford by this man, John Barnard. I wonder what the Italian fan would think if he knew.
I suppose he would think it was a necessary evil. I mean, first of all, I don't suppose they'd ever know that it was the part that we play in it. Secondly, I don't think he would consider the information that we've got over 40 people working here in England.
What those 40 people give to Ferrari is a chassis, something that, frankly, no other nation on Earth is any good at.
I was employed by Enzo Ferrari, and he wanted me to bring the chassis technology of the day to Ferrari. As soon as you work for Ferrari, you realise engine is king. It's this old type of thinking, but of course, we all know that the chassis can be, you know, as effective or more effective than the engines.
Look at the Formula One grid next year. With the exception of Minardi, who don't really count, every chassis is British. The world champion is British. Most of the team bosses are British. Well, Scottish anyway.
Britain's a very competitive nation, and I think that if you go right back in our history, it's a sort of clan structure that goes right through the country. So you've always had segments of the country competing with others. So I think we're very sports orientated in Britain, and it goes way back for centuries. So it's just now that we've got cars, we compete with cars just the same as we used to compete maybe in the Highland Games 100 years ago.
Fellow Scot Jackie Stewart has set his new team up in Milton Keynes. Did he ever think about going somewhere else?
Not at all. We had suggestions that it could be elsewhere. But I think it has to be not only in Britain, but in the middle of the technology belt, in the middle of Silicon Valley of motorsport. And that's where we are.
Some say 75% of all the world's motor racing comes out of Britain, a point that seems lost on the drivers.
The key thing is that it goes fast. You know, as long as it's a fast car, it could be made on anywhere in the world and you'd be happy.